Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Our 3 Cents. And we're going nostalgic today.
So what are we reviewing?
Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle, the 1985 classic that actually came out before Top Gun did.
Mm-hmm.
It was during that time frame where they were doing a lot of the same movies, the same kind of themes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this one came out in 85. Top Gun came out in, at what, 86?
Yeah. Well, this technically came out in January of 86.
Yeah. It was filmed in 85. So
yeah.
It was produced in 85.
And they actually pushed it back because they didn't want it competing with Top Gun. So that's the reason why this actually came out before Top Gun. Because it was supposed to originally open like a week before or a week after or something like that, like right in the same time, right then, right at the same time. They're like, no, we don't want to compete with Tom Cruise. So,
which they made a smart decision on.
yes, they did.
I haven't looked up the figures and the numbers and stuff, but needless to say, it did not do as well as Top Gun did.
No, this one kind of, no pun intended, flew under the radar a little bit.
It would have been a sleeper, I think, but it's just, I personally think this is better than Top Gun. I know it's sacrilege. I like it. I like it better than Top Gun. Top Gun is just, let's see, it earned $24 million.
Okay.
I always like this one a little bit better than Top Gun because it was based around a teenage kid doing it, and even though I was, 7 years old when this came out,
Yeah.
I probably felt I could relate better to Doug's character better than Maverick's character.
Yeah. Plus the fact that this actually is Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
This takes place on an Air Force base, and for us that was good because we were raised on an Air Force base.
Yeah.
For a while. Top Gun was Navy.
Louis Gossett Jr., Jason Gedrick, like basically everybody from the 80s is in this movie.
Uh-huh.
What's the guy's name? His friend that was not the guy from Teen Wolf, but the other guy, his friend.
Right now, I don't remember the names. Larry B. Scott from Space Camp,
and from Karate Kid.
Yes.
And one of the bad guys was also from Karate Kid too, as well.
Jerry Levine played Tony, who was Styles in Teen Wolf. Michael Bowen as Notcher, who's kind of the bully who gets his comeuppance very, very early in the movie, which is immensely satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Rist played Milo, who's just been in basically almost any TV show from the 80s. He was in an episode, at least one.
I think he was the guy who played Scooter, I think, on Family Ties.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm
having to think back. Like I have to go through. I'm have to processing a lot of back data on that one. So
he also did the voice for Michelangelo in the TMNT movie, the original. So he's just one of those guys. He's got 138 credits on his IMDb, and if it was a TV show or like a made-for-TV movie in the 80s, he was probably in it. He just kind of popped up and appeared everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is just, and I think that's one of the big things you can say about this movie is this movie to me is the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Just all wrapped up in a really neat, nice little package. Everything about it.
And it does it better. It does it a little better than Top Gun does too.
Yeah.
And the Top Gun is still nostalgia, but this one is way just better. I'm not saying that Top Gun's a bad movie because it's not, because it's an amazing, awesome movie. But this was just, it just handled it. It's just like two different sides of the same coin.
Yeah. This one, had the family drama thrown in, which was a nice addition. It helped to relate a little bit more. Top Gun is very Hollywood.
Yeah. This was more kind of underground.
Yeah.
Or, not underground, but independent.
Yeah.
If you feel it that way, if you can compare it that way.
And a big part of that is because they actually wanted the Air Force's approval for this movie and their cooperation in letting them use, certain aspects and things like that. But the Air Force would not give it after they read the script because the kids are basically hacking in to databases, stealing information, and the Air Force did not want to be associated with that idea. They didn't like the idea that this group of kids basically had complete control over the base. Which they did.
Which is one thing as I was watching it, and I was like, okay, I always love this movie, but this is the most ridiculous freaking premise ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really, these kids have got the whole base wired. They can get whatever they want. That's just a little too convenient.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining.
Yeah. And I remember, being going on base and, we're able to go in and see Dad when he was in the warehouse and stuff, but you don't just have free reign over the base. I mean, you can't. I mean,
you can go as far as only as far as your bicycle would let you go, but there's still places you're not allowed to go.
Yeah, Now,
but
granted,
we were also kids.
Yeah, as a teenager, maybe especially for Doug, who's probably 18 and he's trying to get into the academy and things like that. But I mean,
his dad's a colonel, so he's pretty high up there, and so he has some clout and blah blah blah.
But it is unrealistic that they would have that much control over all of it. The montage in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We have to talk about this for a second
because it's an 80s movie, so it has a montage.
And it has... Now, I have done a ranking in my head of some of the best montages from 80s movies. I have personally ranked this one as at number 3 of all-time best. I love this montage. It's silly, it's ridiculous. Yes, granted. But it's set to the tune of We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister, which bumps it up like 7 spots. I mean, I would already rank it pretty high, but that alone would bump it up so much just because of the use of that song and the whole idea behind this movie. It fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
So, just
because essentially, he decides he's not going to take what's going on sitting down. He's going to take over. He's going to do the job that the
United States government won't do.
Yes, exactly.
Basically. So, yeah. I love the montage in this movie.
And speaking of music, can we talk about, just for a minute, before we wrap it up, like, the amazing freaking soundtrack?
Oh. God. This has such a good soundtrack to it.
Let's bring up the list, shall we? Okay, so we have One Vision by Queen. Great song. Iron Eagle, Never Say Die, which is basically the theme song. It's not the theme music, though. It's not the orchestral theme, though.
No.
That's what you heard during the opening credits of our video. By King Cobra. We got Eric Martin, Those Are the Good Times, Katina and the Waves, Maniac House, George Clinton, Intense, Hide in the Rainbow by Dio, It's Too Late by Helix, Road to the Gypsy by Adrenaline, Love Can Make You Cry by Urgent, This Raging Fire by John Butcher Axis. And
of course, We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister.
And then there's also what was the other one? Proud Mary,
Yeah.
and we had. I mean, there's a lot of songs that were in the movie, just not actually on the soundtrack itself. This Raging Fire, I said, okay, not included on the soundtrack. Old Enough to Rock and Roll by Randy Haynes. Give Me Some Lovin' by Spencer Davis. Eyes of the World by Eric Martin. We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. Proud Mary by, of course, Ike and Tina Turner. And There Was a Time by James Brown.
Yeah.
And there was a music video for King Cobra's Iron Eagle.
Yes. Which, you know, it's kind of funny because that is supposed to be like the theme for this movie, but when I think of this movie, I think of Road to the Gypsy from Adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only song I think of because that is a song that plays more in this movie than any other song. It's the song that Doug listens to while he's flying, while he's driving, while he's taking a shower, while he's doing everything in his life. It's his own personal internal theme, which is okay. It's a song that I actually listen to all the time. I have it on my phone. It's the only song from this soundtrack that I have because it's a great song. But yeah, I don't know. This movie is just for me. This movie is very, very high up on nostalgic factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost a comfort movie for me. It's a movie that I can pop in and watch, and I don't have to pay attention to, but it just makes me feel good to watch it.
Yeah.
You know,
because it's that the good guys win movies and blah blah blah. Well, we never even talk about the bad guy.
Oh yeah, the bad guy is David Suchet, I believe is how he pronounces his last name, who was also very memorable in the 80s as the tracker from Harry and the Hendersons.
Mm-hmm. And apparently
Pierre Laporte.
David Suchet?
Yeah.
Suchet? Yeah, he was just your quintessential 80s bad guy.
Yeah.
But in a different kind of way. I mean, because he's playing this Arabian general. Well, and it's a made-up Arab country.
It's vaguely Middle Eastern, and that's something that was very different for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie kind of broke with tradition in a lot of ways for the 80s because it was, and that might have been part of the reason why it maybe didn't do as well.
Right,
because it wasn't the Russians.
Yeah, it wasn't a communist nation that was the main villain.
And everybody was in the 80s. And, I mean, in everything. From sports movies to action movies, it was the Russians were always the bad guys, or the Soviet Union in some capacity was always the bad guy. And this one was like, no, we're not going to do that. And they made them Middle Eastern, 2 years foresight, because it was just a couple years later that we started having problems with the Middle East.
You have a theory about the entire Middle Eastern conflict from the mid-'80s all the way up to now, which has been 30-something years. And what is your theory?
Jason Gedrick caused 9/11 because he blew up half the Middle East in this movie.
By himself.
By himself, yeah. What was it you said when we were watching it? Because that was really funny.
After Jason Gedrick, Doug saw that his dad got shot on the runway by the sniper, he just got pissed off and just started blowing up everything in sight, shooting everything. And I looked over at Jonathan and I was like, damn, Carrie didn't even get that pissed off. And she is one of the most, vindictive, evil creatures ever put to film.
Yeah.
As far as, a teenage girl is concerned who gets picked on and finally gets her revenge.
Yeah.
But damn, those kids those kids in that prom dance got off lighter than this country did.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
He just demolished everything, and it may have taken them 15 years to get their act together, but they finally came back for revenge. But there you go. I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to outright say that Jason Gedrick caused 9/11.
No, it was Doug Masters that caused 9/11.
But I mean, it definitely had a big part in it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
And unfortunately, a few years later, Doug unfortunately met his untimely end due to the Russians in Iron Eagle 2, where he was killed within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Well,
spoiler alert.
I'm not totally sure how that's possible because he came back for part 4.
Probably a ghost or something, man. I don't know. But anyways.
Yeah, they made 4 of these, by the way.
Yes.
Never
Iron Eagle 2, Iron Eagle 3, and Iron Eagle 4 Aces.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the sequels.
Yeah, Iron Eagle 2 wasn't terrible. It obviously was not as good as the first one.
Yeah, they all focused on Chappie's character, and he becomes a general by the 4th one. He basically becomes a private investigator for the Air Force that does just whatever the hell he wants, apparently.
Well, I mean, obviously he did because he planned an entire extrapolation mission, and didn't even, said screw what the Air Force thinks.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
Anyway, so this has run way too long.
Yeah.
But we knew it was going to be a long review, so because this is holds such a place in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
A proper Blu-ray of this, so we can actually watch it in widescreen. So.
Like that's ever going to happen.
But anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry it ran so long. Blah blah blah. Later.
Bye.
Blessed be.